Hello everyone, we are a team of student researchers from UNLV and we conducted a survey regarding physical activities and nutrition of healthcare providers and professionals in Nevada. We are doing this research in hopes to see if healthcare providers and professionals have better health behaviors compared to the general population. Healthcare workers have the knowledge of health risks and it is their duty to advocate for a healthy lifestyle. For the most part, healthcare providers and professionals do an excellent job on reminding their patients on how to live a healthy life. However, do themselves practice what they preach? It's important for healthcare workers to ensure that they are in excellent health. And excellent health comes from healthy behaviors. Do they practice what they preach? To find out, we used 9 tested survey questions from CDC's Behavioral Risk Factors Surveillance System. In case anyone's wondering what the surveillance system is, it is a nationwide telephone survey carried out every year by the CDC since 1984 regarding people's health-related risk behaviors, chronic health conditions, and use of preventive services. They use the data gathered to build health promotion activities. Going back to our survey, we also included demographic data such as sex, age, race and ethnicity, marital status, level of education, weight, and area of occupation. Moreover, the team collected contact information of healthcare providers and professionals from 4 colleges and 3 universities in Nevada through their respective institutions' website, and we yielded a total of 655 possible survey participants. The survey questions were then transcribed to an online survey tool in which we used Google Forms, and then we sent an email that directs a participant to the online survey. Out of the 655 people we emailed, only 102 responded. Now that we have an overview of our team's research study, we wanted to teach everyone 2 types of research designs that researchers use when they are doing a research. The 2 research designs we're going to tackle are the descriptive design and the causal research design. First, causal research is a research design that takes 2 or more variables and studies how those variables affect each other. The purpose of causal studies is to identify which variables are interacting and what type of interaction is taking place. Results from these studies allow researchers to draw predictions based on the identified relationship. One possible example of a causal study is about how listening to music can lead to increased concentration while studying, and another example could be about how burning plastic causes climate change. Moving forward, another research design is the descriptive research. A descriptive research seeks to answer questions of who, what, when, and where. In other words, descriptive research is used when a study seeks to provide a description of the subject being studied. Descriptive studies simply gather facts as data. One example of a descriptive research is the census. Some of you may know about the census. The purpose of the census is to accurately describe several characteristics of the population, such as their race and ethnicity, age, gender, household size, and so on. Another example of a descriptive study can be to find out what is the most common disease a certain group may have. The conductors can survey the group about what illnesses and disease that they have, and then they can survey about the factors that may affect their health, such as their behavior, diet, and nutrition, and then the study will report on the data. It would simply report the data and not draw a conclusion upon those results, not to study what certain factors causes the disease. Our team's research study falls under the descriptive design because we simply obtained data about our sample through an online survey. We did not seek to compare or identify correlation between our samples.
When conducting a research paper, it's important to test the significance. Statistically, a significance test can only be used to inform judgments. Testing the significance plays a key role in experiments. They allow researchers to determine whether their data supports or rejects the null hypothesis. Testing of the significance are usually applied by groups or people that are conducting a research. It is used to assess the amount of evidence the data has in favor or against some claim about the population. Along with testing the significance, another important part of a research paper is the methods section. In the methods section, it provides the methods and procedures used in a research study or experiment. This section is a critical part in any research paper because it allows researchers to see exactly how you conducted the experiment. In the methods section, it is important to provide a detailed information on the research design, the participants, equipment, materials, variables, and the actions taken by the participants. The methods section should provide enough information to allow other researchers to recreate the experiment or study. The participants. In this section, for the participants, it's important to describe who they were, how many, and how they were selected. Include certain details, for example, any unique features that may set them apart from the general population. Materials. Describe the materials, measures, or equipment used in the experiment. This may include the testing instruments, technical equipment, books, images, or other materials used in the course of research. Design. It's important to describe the type of design used in the experiment, specifying the variables as well as the levels. For example, clarifying the independent, dependent, and control variables. Procedures. The next part of the methods section should have a detailed procedure used in the collection of the experiment. For instance, what you had the participants do, how you collected the data, and the order of it. Few tips to remember when writing the methods section is to always write it in the past tense. Provide enough of a detailed information that another researcher could replicate. Avoid unnecessary detail that is not relevant to the outcome of the experiment. Remember to always use proper formatting. Ask for additional assistance, for example, going to your university's writing lab for help. Lastly, proofreading for typos, grammar problems, and spelling. There are two different tests that can be used when conducting a research paper. The two different tests are the chi-square test and the t-test. The chi-square test is related to statistics. It is a measurement of how expectations compare to results. A chi-square uses sample data to evaluate hypotheses about the proportions or relationship that exists within a population. The sampling distribution of the test statistics is a chi-square distribution. For example, when the author, yourself, makes the null hypothesis true. A chi-square test is good on observing something. Observations help decide whether there is any difference between the observed experimental frequency value and the expected theoretical value. Goodness to fit is a term often used when talking about the chi-square. The term leads to the outcome which is often used in the chi-square to compare the observed sample distribution with the expected probability distribution. Overall, the use of the chi-square test is used to examine the differences between what you actually find in your study and what you expect to find. A t-test is when you are comparing and trying to find the evidence of a significant difference between two different groups. For example, the two different groups would be the population means and a hypothesized value. The t-value measures the size of the difference to the variation of data that is already collected. Analysts commonly use a t-test with two samples with small sample sizes, testing the difference between the samples when they do not know the variances of two normal distributions. So, the overall use of a t-test is used as an analysis of two population means through the use of a statistical examination to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two groups. Now that you have a bit of an overview of the chi-square test and the t-test, with our research, we are going to be using the t-test. T-tests are often used to compare two samples to determine if they came from the same population. So, the overall use of a t-test is used as an analysis of two population means through the use of a statistical examination to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two groups.
Hypothesis. We have conducted a test to determine the validity of a statistical claim, defining a null and alternative hypothesis. Every hypothesis has two conflicting statements or hypotheses. Our hypothesis is about healthy behaviors. The null hypothesis is h to the 0. The healthy behavior is equal to the stated assessment. How many times per week do you take part in an aerobic activity at least for 10 minutes? This means the healthy behavior is 10 minutes. The alternative hypothesis test includes 3 hypothesis possibilities before you assess them, just in case there was enough evidence conducted. H to the A is the alternative hypothesis. The healthy behavior is not equal to the stated assessment. The healthy behavior is greater than the stated assessment. The healthy behavior is less than the stated assessment. Choosing the alternative hypothesis determines the outcome of the test. If we have enough evidence to counter the null hypothesis, the alternative hypothesis of the 3 to choose from will decide the outcome of the test. So choose not equal, greater than, and less than before accumulating or looking at the data. You want to do this before not to influence the conclusion of the data. If you wanted to acquire how many times per week do you take part in an aerobic activity for at least 10 minutes, you would use the not equal to alternative for the hypotheses. Now, if you wanted to see if the 10 minutes turned out to be greater than what the healthy behavior claims, you would go to the greater than alternative. H to the 0, unidentified, equals 10, versus H to the A, unidentified, greater than 10. Ending with healthy behavior, and you think the outcome can be made in less than 10 minutes, then the hypothesis would be H to the 0, unidentified, equals 10 versus H to A, unidentified, less than 10. When these tests are conducted, there are 2 types of errors in the conclusion. Type 1, HO is overruled even though it is true, called a false positive. Type 2, HO is not overruled even though it is false, called a false negative. Descriptive research provides an opening to bring together quantitative and qualitative data. This helps the what is of the survey. Provides an opening to bring together quantitative and qualitative data. This helps the what is of the survey. Descriptive research has advantages as well disadvantages. That's why it's called limitations of descriptive research. A professional can apply descriptive research, devise an explanation for positive and negative variables that will affect the outcome of the survey. Other characteristics of descriptive research with its advantages and disadvantages are data collection, objectivity and error, life awareness, and confidentiality. Data collection is a descriptive research tool designed to help a specific formula of data. The data collection formula contains case studies, observation, and survey. These formulas have many advantages and provide a complex method to data collection for information. Surveys can provide statistics that concern the survey and verify that people participated in the survey. The disadvantage of data collection is human error. Objectivity and error is the possibility of error and bias. When the research team makes a survey, the questions are prearranged and binding. The survey might have errors as the researcher only hears what he or she wants to. Ignorance corrupts the data to the survey hypothesis. A research bias is exceptionally problematic for narrative research consultants. Those who choose to use a narrative research method must heed their own warnings of the outcome of the research. Life awareness is when a researcher is collecting data from newspaper clippings and personal stories. This data provides a wise understanding to life. The case study then removes the difficulties of rigorous hypothetical method for the surveys. Confidentiality is to keep the participant a secret or private. The participants are not always honest during a survey and modify their answers. Even though they are not being watched, the individual may also feel the survey is too personal and refuse to answer.